It's like carbon monoxide, it's odorless and colorless, and you don't know when there's carbon monoxide in the room, but if there is, there's a big problem. And that's kind of what it's like when you're dealing with people who are not giving you the influence that you need to.
This is the How to Quit Working Show. Jeff Steinman believes entrepreneurship is the only true path to freedom. That's why he created the How to Quit Working Show, where you'll hear stories, insights, and inspiration from lifestyle fanatics who left their soul-sucking 9-to-5 job forever. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and ultimate lifestyle fanatic, Jeff Steinman.
Hello and welcome to the How to Quit Working Show. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I get a lot of questions about, and I know a lot of people have issues and concerns with, and that is how to deal with unsupportive friends and family. This is a really tough one, and one that we're going to tackle head on this episode of the How to Quit Working Show. I look forward to talking to you about that. Before we jump into that topic, I just got to remind you that we've got the How to Quit Working Circle, and the How to Quit Working Circle is an amazing community of aspiring entrepreneurs just like you. They're all there just to help, support, and encourage you, to be there for you, and maybe even do business with. Who knows? You can get access to all of that, and you also get a free video training series on how to quit your job and start a business, which is probably why you're here. So I don't know why you wouldn't do it, because it's free. Head on over to howtoquitworking.com/circle and join the How to Quit Working Circle. As I said, it's absolutely free, and I look forward to seeing you over there. Now, let's jump into the topic for today, because I know you're busy, you don't want to mess around, we're not going to talk a lot, we're just going to get right down to the point. And the topic for today is dealing with, as I said, unsupportive friends and family. And this is a topic that is difficult for a lot of folks to deal with, because you live this life and you've got these people around you, and they're your people. They're the people who are a part of your life. And you're trying to do something different than the norm and different than these people believe is the right way to go about life. And I think that's the premise that I want to lay down before we start talking about the specifics of dealing with the unsupportive friends and family. I want to start with this premise that you have to remember that you and I and everybody live in a world and live in a society where there is, for the most part, a path laid out for you. Part of that is political, part of it's cultural, part of it's tradition, part of it's religion. There's all these different things that come in to play. But our world, your world, whatever that is, has laid out a general path that you're supposed to follow. You are supposed to go to school. Then you're supposed to go to college. Then you are supposed to get a job. You are supposed to get married. You are supposed to have some children. You are supposed to buy a house. There are all of these things. Those are kind of some of the big ones, but as you know, there's a lot more than just that. There's all these things that you're just supposed to do. I remember when I was really young, I was kind of starting to wonder, okay, what's it going to be like when I'm an adult? Because as a kid, at some point you realize, okay, I'm going to actually grow up and be one of the big people one of these days. And I remember kind of asking my parents, what's it going to be like? What's going to happen when I finish school? What's my adult life going to be like? And I remember the response that they gave me, and it was something like, well, you're going to go to college, or maybe you'll go in the military, or you'll probably get married, you'll buy a house, you'll have some kids. Does that sound familiar? It's this path that we all assume everybody's going to go down. And we assume that it is the right way for everyone. And indeed, it is not the right way for everyone. I would argue it's not the right way for most people. Everybody should be free to choose their own path and choose how to do things in their life based upon their passions, their desires, what they want to do with their life, how they want to live their life. But that's not the way our overall society has laid it out for us. They have laid out a roadmap and a blueprint. And if you are looking to start a business and create a life that is designed around what you want, you are doing something very different than that path that society has sort of laid out for you. So I think it's really important when you are dealing with some of these issues to just be really mindful of the fact that you are going completely off the board. You are completely doing your own thing. You are doing something that probably less than 5% of the people in the world do. And it's the path that you've chosen. It's the path that you have decided is right for you, but it is different than the path that probably upwards of 90% of the population of the world chooses. So, first of all, the fact that you have been open-minded enough and that you've gotten in touch with yourself enough and that you have opened your mind to possibilities enough and that you have actually taken the action to learn about the different possibilities that are out there, that fact alone is something that you should start off by just patting yourself on the back for and saying, wow, I've really excelled, even if you haven't been successful yet or if you haven't even started yet. Realizing that if, we're 10 minutes into this video, I mean, the fact that you stuck with this video as long as you have is a degree of accomplishment, because it's a degree of understanding what the possibilities are and what is going to give you a better life, the life that you want without the limitation of the normal path that everyone follows. So first of all, start by just patting yourself on the back for that and saying, wow, I've really accomplished something just by realizing that yes, it is indeed possible to get off of this path and go off and do my own thing and do something different than most people do. So recognize that, celebrate that a little bit, and then also realize that the people who are over here on the normal everyday path don't see that. They don't see the possibilities. They don't believe it's possible. They don't think that it's going to happen for you. They certainly don't think it's going to happen for themselves. So they're in that mindset. So the first thing that I would say that you have to do is you have to start by understanding. You have to just start by understanding the viewpoint of your friends and family who do not support you. Now, there are absolutely people out there, probably in your life, I'm sure you have a handful of those people in your life, who they just don't want to see somebody else succeed. They just don't want to see somebody else be successful as opposed to them. Those are people that are probably good to eliminate. But we're not so much talking about those people, because those people probably need to get out of your life for whatever reason. But what we're more talking about is the people who really truly do mean well. They're not vengeful, they're not jealous. They just truly mean well. And what they see in their vision, in their perspective, is they see that there is one way to be successful in this world, and one of the primary pieces of that is to get a job and work for someone else, work your way up the ladder, and then move into some sort of a retirement system. That is the way they believe that you will be successful. That is the way that they believe you should play this game of life. You have a different feeling. Now, if you don't feel differently, then you probably haven't stuck with this video or this podcast for this long. So you have a very different perspective and a very different view of what is possible and what's the right path for you than these other people in your life do. And I think that it's so critical to understand that. It's so critical to understand where they are coming from, because when we understand other people's perspectives, we can deal with them so much better. And actually, to get on my soapbox a little bit, I think that we could solve a lot of the problems in the world if we just took the time to understand other people's perspectives. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it, you just have to understand it, because when you understand it, you're much better able to deal with it, and you know where it's coming from. And I think when we understand other people's perspectives, we don't view them as negatively. So from the perspective of these folks in your life who do not appear to not support you or don't think that you should go down this other path, the most important thing to remember is that they probably care about you, and they probably want to see you do the thing that is going to bring you the best possible life. They just don't realize that a whole lot more is possible than what is on this normal kind of standard path. And I think, one of the things that I think is really heartbreaking is how little people in general actually believe is possible. I have done things in the past, say 4 or 5 years, that I never thought was possible. I have developed new perspectives and new ways of looking at the world and seeing new viewpoints that would have been completely foreign to me prior to having this experience that I've had. And it just totally changes the way you look at everything. And we talk about this a lot on the show, but you've got to always, just constantly, every single thought that goes through your head, you have to say, is that really true? Is that really true? Is that really true? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is no, it's not really true. There's actually more to it than that simple little thought that's going through your head. And it's probably based on something that happened in the past or something that you've learned that is not necessarily still true and accurate, or whatever the case may be. So the important thing, number one, is understand. You just have to understand that they're coming from a different perspective. They have a different view of the world. They have a different view of what's possible in the world, and they want to see you go down a path that is going to work for you. So step number one, understand. Step number two, I like to call it insulate and isolate. You have to realize how much other people's influences actually affect you. Other people around you doing things, saying things, whatever they're doing, all of those things have an effect on you. That's one of the reasons that I'm so adamant about shutting off the news and not consuming large amounts of news, not ever consuming news on a daily basis, weekly maybe, but even that, you gotta watch what happens. Because when you consume all of that news and you consume all of that, what's wrong with the world, this is wrong, this person's doing this person's doing that, and all of that negativity, and there is a whole lot of it right now. Well, there's a whole lot of it all the time. It maybe seems like there's a lot right now, but what happens is you then begin to have this perspective that everything's terrible. The world is terrible. It's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. That runs through your head, and that's the worst possible thing that you could do to motivate yourself to go out and do the work and do the things that you need to do to be successful in business or anything else that you want to do in life. And the same thing is true of friends and family. It's amazing to me what I've seen happen in many cases, and that's I can have a phone call with someone who's really interested in one of our programs or interested in doing coaching, and then they go back and they start telling their friends and family about it, and then their family sort of talks them out of it. Their family says, well, I mean, wouldn't you, rather just get a job? And it's maybe not even that direct, but that influence, you can have somebody who is totally bought in to the idea and totally committed to the idea of doing their own thing, building their own life the way they want it. And then they get around some friends and family, and then that starts casting doubt on that. And if you want to truly make a difference in your life and you really want to meet your goals, you have to be insulated from that to some degree, because it will always have an influence on you. If you're around job people, you will tend towards a job, because just all of the things that they talk about and that you hear about will influence you, and it doesn't influence you. This is the dangerous thing about influence. It doesn't influence you in a way that you even realize what's going on at the time. This is what is, I wish everybody understood this concept, but when things are coming at you in whatever way they are, through the TV or through the radio or through friends and family or people or just people on the street, when things are coming at you, they're influencing you and you have no idea that it's happening. You have absolutely no idea what's happening, and before you know it, you have a different viewpoint. That's why you have to insulate yourself from those things that are going to influence you in the wrong way. Now, if you're sitting there saying, oh no, I don't let other people influence me, that's not true. I think for myself, and I come up with my own ideas, and people have different degrees to which they're influenced by other people, but I promise you that everyone is influenced by their surroundings. It happens to everyone. The people who are successful are those who control their surroundings, who control the influences that they receive on a day-to-day basis. And what that means as a practical matter is that means you just maybe have to spend less time with some people. And I know that's a really hard thing. I hate to tell somebody that they have to spend less time with their sister or with a good friend or with a parent or an aunt or uncle or whoever it may be. But that is the reality, and you do have to make a decision about the person that you want to be in the world. And if that's an hour a month versus 5 hours a month with somebody, then I think you have to really step back and look at what's the net difference that 4 hours is going to make to that person versus the net difference it's really going to make to you, and being able to have the right influences around you. So you have to ask yourself some really tough questions, and I will not pretend that there's an easy answer to this because you really have to make some really difficult decisions sometimes if you want to move in the direction of success. But one tip that I will give you, and this is something that I have used and I found it to be very helpful, is sometimes we have friends and family who are not good from a success or a business building standpoint. They're not good influences on us in that respect. However, we might share some other things that in common that we do enjoy talking, and that person is a good influence. So one of the things that you can do is you can always try to steer the conversation away from business and career, and there are people that it's not healthy to talk about this with. There can be people in your life that you simply do not discuss this matter with at all. And you can keep those people in your life by reducing severely or eliminating that conversation about what you're doing, and steer that conversation around to something that you both are interested in and that you both can agree on and bond on and have good conversations about. Maybe that's sports, or maybe that's nieces or nephews, or maybe that's a hobby or something else that's going on. But there's an infinite number of things that you can talk about with people, and this doesn't have to be one of them. There are people in my life who I'd never, ever, ever talk about business with. Ever, because I know that they will not give me the influences that I need. There are other people that I seek out to talk about business with because I know they will give me the influence, and they will give me the perspectives, and they will give me the feedback that will be positive to moving me in the direction that I want to go. It's not an easy thing, but I hope I've given you maybe one little tip for how to deal with that without necessarily completely cutting people out of your life or completely eliminating time with them, but sometimes that is necessary. So number one is understand. Understand their perspective, understand where they're coming from, understand that in the overwhelming majority of the cases, they are coming from a positive place, from a caring place, and they just want to be there for you, and they want to help you, and they want to see you be successful. Number two, isolate and insulate. So insulate yourself from those people who are giving you those negative influences, always remembering that you don't know when you're being influenced. It's happening completely without you even realizing it. So isolate and insulate yourself as much as you possibly can, and know that you don't know when it's happening. That's what makes it so dangerous. It's like carbon monoxide, it's odorless and colorless, and you don't know when there's carbon monoxide in the room, but if there's a big problem. And that's kind of what it's like when you're dealing with people who are not giving you the influence that you need. So you got to spend less time with them, or spend time with them doing and talking about things that are unrelated, that will not bring you down in that way. Number three is a really, really critical one, and that is get results. You just have to go out there and get results. When you show people that you can do it, and you show people that year after year, month after month, day after day, you can indeed do this, and it will indeed work, that begins to change their mind. That begins to change them around. That actually begins to make this world a better place. Because when there are successful people in your family or successful people in your circle of friends, then you're showing people what is possible, and you're actually then flipping that influence thing around, and you are influencing them to believe that more is possible, because they'll say, oh, my friend so-and-so did this, so maybe I could too. Doesn't mean they'll actually do the work, doesn't mean that they'll commit to it, but it does begin to change their perspective when they see other people being successful. And I know you want to be successful. Everybody wants to be very successful. And you can't do it if you don't control the influences around you. The more I talk about this, the more I want to drive home the point that you're influenced by every single thing that is around you. And when it's in the rearview mirror, when it's happened a while back, you can look back and say, I see what happened there. But when it's happening right now, you don't know what's happening. So that's why you have to be very, very vigilant about controlling the influences that you take in around you. So again, to summarize, number one, understand their perspective. Number two is isolate and insulate yourself as much as you possibly can. And number three, get results. And unfortunately, I don't have the time on this particular video podcast to tell you all about how to do that, but that is what we do in How to Quit Working on all of our shows, is we tell you how to be successful. And if you're really ready to be successful and you're really ready to make that next step, then go over to howtoquitworking.com/kickstart. That is an amazing program that we go into a lot more depth in that program about how to get your mind in the right place. Really, it's about becoming the person that you need to become to be successful. It's not about knowing how to be successful. It's not about knowing about business. It's not about knowing about that. It's about becoming the person that you need to become to be extremely successful. And that's what we do in Kickstart. And that's why I'm so excited about Kickstart. And I'm so excited about all the folks that have joined. I love, love, love hearing from folks who are feeling huge transformations in their lives and beginning to look at the world in a whole different way, and in the way that will make you very, very successful. So head on over to howtoquitworking.com/kickstart. By the way, that is not an expensive program. It is under $100. I wanted to keep the price low so the price wouldn't be an obstacle or an issue for you. So head over to howtoquitworking.com/kickstart. I cannot wait to see you in Kickstart and see what amazing things you do with your life and your business. And I cannot wait to see you next time on the How to Quit Working Show.
Thanks for joining us on the How to Quit Working Show. Tune in next time when we'll talk to another amazing person just like you, who is now living the ultimate life of freedom and doing it on their terms. If you want to learn how to quit working and get these episodes delivered directly to you, visit howtoquitworkingshow.com.